They say Capricorns have basically been adults since the day they were born, known for being super pragmatic, hardworking, ambitious, determined, very much about the mind, potentially even a little bit stubborn. But I think you guys are so much more than that. So I want to do a makeup look really inspired by the symbolism of the Capricorn, as well as this time of year. So just taking a look at the symbol of the Capricorn in general, the sea goat. I think this is such a beautiful symbol because you have the goat on top. You think of goats on like mountains. They're determined. They're very like grounded to the earth. So you have this really earthly imagery of the goat, and Capricorns are earth signs. But then you have this fishtail. So there's this duality that I really want to explore because you think of water, intuition, depths, right? So they say Capricorns sometimes need to balance out their very intellectual minded way with some intuition and tapping into that more emotional and mystical sphere. This is also the time we're entering deep winter in the Northern Hemisphere, so it's bleak out there. It's cold. And so I'm thinking of tones that are very like dark and moody and just represent this sort of dark time of year, thinking of bleak mountains, stark seas. So yeah, that's the plan for the makeup look today. A really cool multi-chrome from the Danessa Myricks palette again. This one came to mind right away as I was looking up about Capricorns. And I want to use this because it's got this like brown and green in it. I feel like it's perfect to represent the sort of earthly, mountainy imagery, as well as the sea imagery. This is going to be the focus of the look today. Probably going to do some wings with it too, because we got to honor those horns of the goat. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the eyes today because I don't really know fully where they're going. So let's pick the blush shades after. I'm going to start with the Gargoyle palette from Unearthly. This green shade, I'd like to lay it down as a base for most of the lid, as I think it's a good foundation that's not too dark for building up some like greens and some browns. So I'm just gonna start at the center of the eye. Just pat it in, really bringing it over most of the lid. Now I met some goats this past holiday break because my dad lives in PEI and recently got some goats, 3 goats, and I didn't think I was gonna like goats. I thought that it was so random that he got goats, but they are so funny, let me tell you. They were like really charming and hilarious, and they follow you around, and they move in packs, and they act like dogs, and they block your way to the house because they're asking for treats. They were hilarious. Anyway, newfound relationship with goats. I do love a goat, especially for some witchy symbolism. But now I know some goats. So just have this base here, nothing too precise. I just want to make sure I have a foundation of a shade that's going to really let that multi-chrome show. But now I want to start to like grunge it up a little. So I'm pulling out my Melt 420 palette, and there's a couple shades I'm going to go into here, like this green. It's a little bit more earthy, and then probably mixing this shade in. I don't know. Let's start with this here. I'm going to start to create a little bit of a wing shape, but like quite chunky. Blending it a little bit into the blue here. Going back into that first shade to help with the blend. So we got this sort of muddy teal-ish look going on. I'm going to deepen a little bit more decided to go with the brown here, because let's start to bring the earth element into this makeup look. Just want to get that extra depth happening right around here. I'm not too sure about the lower lash line yet, so I'm just going to leave it blank for now while I focus on the top half of the eye. Still got a ways to go, I think, with the blending, but I do want to get the shimmer on now just to see how it's like playing with these colors. So yeah, this is the shade I'm going into, and the shade is Martian. I'm just gonna press that on. Very cool shade. One of you had requested like sort of peacock look for Capricorn, and I feel like this is given peacock. I'm gonna go into this shade here now. So moving into some more kind of brown, and I want to use that to transition around here. So add like kind of some warmth to this. Maybe that was a bit more warm than I kind of hoped. So I'm just going to kind of play between these shades here right now just to get a better blend. So like a little bit more of that like green. I'm going to go in with a white, pretty subtle white, to brighten and help like blend these darker tones into my skin tone basically. So I'm just going to brighten up this inner corner. Start bringing some brightness here. Right there. I'm going to take the Rituel de Fille kohl liner. Favorite way to do winged liner. My thought for the wing is like for it to be quite long. Sort of like the siren eye look. Like starting kind of closer in and like going out. Kind of following this line a little bit. Just going to do this slowly. Take my time. And I can't really talk while I do this. I'm going to take a bit of concealer and a super flat brush and bring this wing out farther. And like clean up the bottom. So I have this like longer wing. I'm going to do the same on the other side and put mascara on, then kind of see where the look takes me. I'm still not sure about the lower lash line. I want to get some blush and lips on to really see where this is going before deciding if I want to do more on the eye or just leave it kind of open on the bottom. So I'm going to do this wing and some lashes, and then let's keep creating. Okay, lashes are on, and what I ended up doing was putting a little bit of brown in the waterline, and I think I'm going to leave it there for now because I like how this brings like an earthy element into the lower part of the eye, but it's keeping like a freshness under the eye because I'm not putting eyeshadow there. So it brings a bit of balance into the look without like overwhelming the eye with a bunch of eyeshadow wrapped around. I'm really liking just this play of colors, having a bit of a trouble blending here because of a couple like from plucking. Does anyone ever get that little bumpies? Anyway, I did my best with it. Now I'm thinking of leaning more into the browns for the complexion, and I'm busting out some things I don't really use often, so let's see how it goes. I have this bronzer, powder bronzer from Giorgio Armani. I always want to say Givenchy because of the G's. Anyway, it's got a bit of glitter in it. We'll see how that goes, but definitely thinking that some browns are going to work nicely with this. I feel like there's a reason why I use cream bronzers most of the time. They just, I don't know, creams are just where it's at these days for blendability. I'm going to bring this a little bit kind of higher on the cheekbone. Not a huge fan of that bronzer. This kind of like feels like it's sitting on the skin. Then there's this blush from ColourPop. It's from their Beauty and the Beast collab, and the shade's Chip. And once again, like leaning into the browns, though this has a bit more red in it. A little bit of glow with the Sigma highlighter. This is like a nice kind of bronzy highlighter, but it's not super dark. I'm gonna actually delete a little bit of my lip pigment with my foundation brush. Not fully, but I just want to experiment more with having a blank canvas of a lip when trying lip shades. One of you recommended doing that, and I always forget that that's like a good way to really see a lip shade on its own without your own lip color interacting. I'm gonna use the same liner I used on my eyes, and that's Limitless Brown from Makeup Forever. I'm really blending this out so it's not a harsh line. So now we have just like more of those earthy tones, more browns. In the center of the lip, I'm going to put a touch of Wise from Rare Beauty. It's kind of similar to the lip liner, but a little bit warmer. I do quite like that brown. I'm thinking of putting a bit of gloss. I usually do. I just find it really like lifts a look. So there's this really fun one from TYS Beauty, and it's like a dark brown with shimmer in it. It's just a really cool shade. All right. This is feeling pretty done. This is feeling really cool. The only thing I feel like I'm not loving is just the shade of the bronzer and stuff, just being a bit orange, whereas I like this kind of depth of the darker brown. And would you guys kill me if I busted out my new favorite blush shade? I might have to add it. A little bit of Moth from Rituel de Fille on top. Also just because I feel like all the powders made the skin a little bit flat. So I'm just going to put a touch of this on top just to get a bit more red into that blush shade so it's not so orange. I say would you guys kill me because it's limited edition, but I'm obsessed with the shade. Just layers really nicely on top of so many other shades. I think I'm gonna have to email Rituel de Fille and tell them to put this in their permanent collection. Okay, that feels better. Ooh. And this is the finished makeup look. I am loving it. This is definitely what I was going for. The exploration of earthy tones with watery tones and it being a little bit moody, just reminding me of earthy, murky depths of water, you know? Definitely the wings for those horns. I did them a little bit like farther out than I normally would, and I'm just liking how it brings like a lot of support to the kind of murky blend happening on the eyes. Like that kind of like frames it a little bit. Yeah, I felt like I learned a little bit about you guys, you Capricorns. I didn't know too much about the sign, to be honest, but yeah, I'm really liking this makeup look, and I hope you Capricorns liked it too. It definitely turned out a little bit peacocky, like one of you requested, and yeah, it's just really kind of fierce in its own way. So yeah, that's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. Another day, another makeup look. Thoughts, Toasty? Oh my goodness, I swear he has energy. I swear. He's not always sleeping looking like this. But every time I lift him up here, he is. Anyway, thank you all for watching till the end. If you want to like, comment, and subscribe, it helps support the channel. And until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of makeup magic. And we will see you in the next video. Bye, witches.